Good evening. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission for the Village of Vernon Hills, and we start with a roll call.
Chairman Morris.
Here.
Mr. Ballou. Ms. Cotton.
Here.
Mr. Hesner.
Here.
Mr. Heidner.
Here.
Mr. Gorog. We have a quorum.
Okay, this evening we have two public hearings, the first being case 1210, which is an application requesting the grant of preliminary and final approval to the plat of re-subdivision for Lot 5 of the Hawthorne Hills Shopping Center to create Lot 1 in the Noodles subdivision. Hawthorne Hills Shopping Center, we remind all, is located at the southwest corner of Milwaukee Avenue and Town Line Road. Who's going to speak on behalf of the petitioner on this one?
Hello, I'm Don Dixon with Gaywalt Hamilton Associates.
Okay, since this is a public hearing, we ask that you raise your right hand. And if there's anyone else that's going to testify also with you, they have to step up now. But I see no great rush, so that you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission of the Village of the Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
I do.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, can you hear me good? This is a very straightforward project. As everybody's aware, the Noodles and Company is already built and in operation. Basically, what we're doing tonight is coming before you asking for subdivision of the property underlying the Noodles so that at some point in time, should Noodles wish to purchase this underlying property, they can go ahead and do so. What I have here before you is a aerial photograph showing the location of the Noodles site as it is today. Unfortunately, the aerial photos don't have the existing building, but we do show the site layout from the plans that we have showing the relationship as it currently sits. You can see the KFC up here. The Noodles is situated right where the Lot 1 sign is. And what we're proposing to do, this is KFC sits on Lot 4. We're proposing to take the south boundary of Lot 4, extend where it intersects Lot 5, come down to the south along this ring road, down to the southern entrance off of Milwaukee, and just basically create a lot that aligns with the outer perimeter of what the ring road is. We tried to keep the boundary such that the owner of the shopping center and Lot 5 would have complete access, complete control of the entranceway through here, and just confine the lot itself above the north entrance of that ring road. In doing this, we had to create a couple of easements. One, there's a new sign, a development sign, which is located here. So we have an easement around that sign for access, maintenance, and any repairs that would be needed on that. The other new easements that are created here there's a plat of easement for Lot 5 because the existing ring road easement is basically depicted by, graphically depicted on the plat of subdivision previously. So we had a small gap between the existing edge of the ring road and the newly created Lot 1, where we had to come in and make sure that we could provide cross-access between the newly created Lot 1 for the Noodles and the existing ring road ingress-egress easement.
Is that shown on the plat? Because the one I'm looking at here doesn't have it.
I look back, it is not shown on the plat, and I looked through to see if my surveyor had provided that to you, and I'm not sure whether that made it over to you or not. But it's a separate ingress-egress easement because it only affects Lot 5. It does not affect newly created Lot 1, which is why it was not included on the plat of subdivision.
It's not on this one.
Right.
And is Lot 5 the rest of the development, basically?
Basically, it's the large commercial portion of the development, less any of the smaller existing outlots such as KFC or McDonald's, which have already been subdivided.
I was a little surprised that you included the area for the signage on the Noodles property. What made you What made you do that? I know that it would create an irregular corner there, but I was a little bit surprised that you included that portion onto the Noodles parcel versus running up along that westerly edge of the easement and then directly down to that corner point at Milwaukee Avenue, thus giving that whole corner back, or having the whole corner there be part of the owner of the site in that area. What was that motivation?
I think it was basically just trying to create a uniform lot through there without trying to go through all the zigzags on it. We saw it,
I mean,
half dozen one
just
way,
curious.
60 other way as to whether we included it as part of the parcel or included it as an easement.
Just curious, because in this particular instance, that easement, it really in essence is a useless portion of that site for Noodles.
Well, there's also drainage easements which are in there which benefit the rest of the development as well. There's a existing drainage easement which runs up along this property here. So if we tried to carve this lot out and avoid all the easements that were on there, we'd end up with a substandard lot that you probably wouldn't consider.
I don't know, you
acceptable.
could have run a straight line along that westerly portion of the signage easement and then head directly north, and that would have created a very regular lot line, and then avoided all those drainage easements and signage easements. Again, it's neither here nor there for me.
Right.
Since Noodles has no issue with it,
We've heard no issues. Also, we were trying to adhere to I think it's a minimum 40,000 square foot lot that we created, and we're just over that. So if we start carving this out,
it would have been too small.
it would have been smaller, correct? It'd be under your requirement.
Okay.
Hey, Don, can you, on this plat of easement, can you explain what the intention is of this easement?
Yes, the existing, this might be easier to show you. If you see the existing ring road easement, which is cross-hatched here, the cross-hatching ends before it touches the lot lines, particularly on this west side. So there's actually a small gap between the ingress-egress easement and the newly created lot lines. And that's because it was graphically depicted on the earlier documents that were prepared by another surveyor. So we had to go and graphically put that easement where it showed. Since our lot line basically hits, I think, at the back of the curb, or the back of the sidewalk, we had that small gap in there. So when it crosses the driveways, if we had not put that ingress-egress easement in there, there would have been that gap which we'd have to cross over we wouldn't have
So
permission.
is the buffer strip between the Noodles parking lot and the, for lack of a better term, the ring road or access road, is that remaining on lot 5? And that's what the gap is?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
got it.
correct.
So in essence, what you're doing is you're expanding that easement to allow access to lot 5 now from this graphically depicted. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
But does the graphically depicted easement for the ring road include this new Noodles subdivision 1? Because when that was originally created, it was under unified ownership.
The reciprocal easement agreements or development agreements allow the cross-access between Lot 5 or any of the outlots created in there. What this does, it just fills the gap so that that small gap between the newly created lot line and the edge of the ingress-egress easement, we can cross through there.
No, that I understand, but my concern is by the way you described it is when the cross-access easement over the ring road was created, there was no access to this lot because it was all under unified. Does it have to be changed so this new lot can afford or is afforded the same access over that easement?
According to the developer, that's not the case. It's already granted. The cross-access between all of the lots are
Even though
granted
this lot
by-
didn't exist at the time.
Yes.
But hell, it seems like there was always a singular point on the southerly portion of that lot that, from the graphically depicted ring road, that you could have accessed that site. There was one point that you could do that. When you were talking, the thing I was concerned about is all that area along the westerly property line.
Right.
But there was always this one point right here that you
That
could have gone
Yeah,
in.
Right. No, that's right.
That was the only one.
Right.
Right. And actually, that's the driveway that we closed off at, in order to alleviate some of the congestion
Right.
that was occurring down there.
So is this drawn right then?
Well, and again, this is, I think, the first I've seen this plat of easement. And the question would be is, could this plat of easement be, or could the easement actually be put on the plat?
When I asked my surveyor that question, he thought it would be a much cleaner document
Sure.
to create the plat of easement rather than try to incorporate it in the plat of subdivision, which is why we went about that. And I apologize, I wasn't aware that you hadn't seen that.
That's the right way to do it.
Just one of the loose ends we were trying to close up
Yeah.
and make sure
Yeah.
everything worked together here.
It's much clearer.
But why do both, let me just ask a question. Why does neither the Noodle subdivision plat or the plat of easement include the current access, rather includes the closed access? This I understand it's now a straight line, but there's,
Along the westerly
where's the
edge.
there's no westerly access on this.
Well, you remember that westerly access was actually the common access point with KFC, which is north of this of that line.
Yeah, but I think they're picking it up here, aren't they? Or is it further north? I just don't know.
I think it's just slightly further north. I don't, Don, you have the aerial right there that shows the KFC.
Entrances.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are covering it as a part of that.
Yeah, but where is
So
it?
that,
But it's not
that's the
depicted.
only access to this.
It's gotta
lot.
be there.
No, there's
They're
two.
covering it as a part of the easement, so.
But then don't they need an easement between lot 4 and lot 5, and new lot 1? Yeah.
There is cross access between the two properties, correct?
That's
Lot
correct.
4 and the proposed lot 1.
That is correct.
Physical, but is there a legal easement permitting cross-access between lot 4 and the new lot 1?
I don't think there's a platted easement, there's not a platted easement on there, as I recall, but we went back and forth between the language with KFC during the approval of the noodles
Right.
that allowed us to access that.
And they didn't, and KFC did review it and submit a letter approving it.
Okay. And is the developers okay that it's not platted? It's just a letter agreement? It's not recorded, I'm assuming?
Well, once again, it's the, I think it's the reciprocal easement agreements and part of the overall covenants of the development which allow that. So, I mean, it's fairly common to have non-platted ingress,
sure.
egress, and blanket easements across there.
Maybe a suggestion. How about if we have the developer's attorney provide us a letter clarifying the access easement rights that are granted? The commission
Right.
doesn't have to do anything with this plat of
No.
easement, but maybe a letter for our file basically saying, here is how access is granted from KFC to this site, and here is how access is granted to this site from the common ring road access.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we could be saddled with a lot 1 that would have essentially no way to get in and out of it.
Right. We'll just have Dave Eli send us
Okay, that's fine.
reach out and tell us.
All right.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, do you have anything else you want to add? I'm sorry. Or is that
No,
too
it's,
much?
I mean, it's fairly straightforward. We've already built the development, so we're just trying to
We can make it non-straightforward.
clean up some.
Since this is a public hearing, we ask if anyone from the public or anyone else would like to express any opinions or comment with respect to this request? Okay. As you see, there's no great rush to the podium, so we can close the public hearing portion of it. Any other comments by the commission?
There is one variance sought, is that correct?
No, it's just a recognition that the proposed lot width does not meet the minimum, but again, because this is a PUD, it's not an issue. So it's just, I want to make sure I recognize it.
I'm looking at the conditions 18.3.6 in particular, that they responded with their letter, how they qualify, and they said it conforms in all respects of the applicable regulations per the ordinance. And that would not necessarily be true.
Well, again, though, it is a PUD, which does allow for reductions in lot width. So I guess in essence, it doesn't meet the straight B1 zoning requirements, but it does meet the regulations as allowed or varied in the PUD ordinance.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, as you may know, we have a standing motion to recommend approval. The motion would be to recommend approval to amend the special use permit for the planned unit development for Lot 5 in the final plat of subdivision of Hawthorne Hills Fashion Square as set forth in Ordinance 2003-06, thereby granting preliminary and final approval to the plat of re-subdivision for Lot 5 to create Lot 1 in the Noodles subdivision, subject to the following conditions. First, general compliance with the Noodles subdivision plat prepared by Gewalt Hamilton Associates with a revision date of July 19th, 2012, which is 1 page. 2, compliance with all ordinances and standards of the village except as otherwise noted or provided for in the PUD. And then thirdly, the developer's attorney to provide a letter of explanation to the village regarding the access, ingress, and egress on and over Lot 5 and Lot 4 to Lot 1. Okay, we need a second. Any discussion?
Just had a general, it's probably a silly question, but we have Lot 5, which is the most of the development here, and Lot 4 is KFC. How is this Lot 1?
It's a new subdivision.
So the others are subdivision of Hawthorne Hills, and this is
Its own.
Noodles subdivision?
It's its own subdivision.
Right. I thought you were going to say, what's 1, 2, 3? Okay, any other questions? Then we need a roll call.
Mr. Baloo, Ms. Cotton,
Yes.
Mr. Hesner,
Yes.
Mr. Heidner,
Yes.
Chairman Morris.
Yes. Okay, I should also note that we did receive Section 18.3 standards, and we also received no comments from any public after notice.
Correct.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
You'll communicate with the attorney?
Yeah, I'll let David know.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have another public hearing, which is case 12-12. This is a request to amend the special use permit for the Shops of Greg's Landing PUD to allow placement of a parking lot and related improvements on lots 11 and 12 of the Shops of Greg's Landing, and to grant certain variations, including but not limited to parking space size. This is generally to the east of the current Mariano's parking lot. Okay, and who's going to speak for the petitioner?
I will, Bill Shank with Bradford Real Estate,
Okay.
and I think Max will also speak from Roundy's Inc.
Well, whoever's going to speak, we'd ask him to come up, and since this is a public hearing,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm Max Dickman with Roundy Supermarkets.
and,
Nate Groff, Kimley Horn, civil engineer.
okay. We'd ask each of you if you could raise your hand and swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission of the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
You will?
Yes.
Okay, you are on.
Yeah, I mean, just to give a little bit of background, and I don't think we brought boards, because I think the packet's probably, oh, you have it up in the PowerPoint, okay. If you wanna- Essentially, we've been by once before extending our parking. Essentially, what we needed to do, we were parking a lot of employees on Lowe's and off the site across the street, and we decided that what we're able to do is eliminate the shuttling that we needed for those services by creating an employee lot to the north of the store. That's been very, very helpful. It's, allowed us to sort of consolidate, keep everyone in. But as the store's been more and more successful, we've had less and less spots for our customers to park. So what we're doing here is adding, I think it's 138 spots. 134 spots with some car corrals. So, and we think what that'll do is help us in the long term to give us enough spots to handle the customer parking without impeding too much on the Lowe's lot. Some customers will use that northernmost edge of the Lowe's lot, but they're crossing a drive lane. It's getting shopping carts in an area we don't have corrals for them, and it's just not the best long-term solution. So we're here before you because we're looking for some additional parking. And really the best thing I think we can do, I think everything is fairly self-explanatory. We can certainly answer any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions?
Right now, on the eastern side of the parking lot, there's sort of a cut-through roadway. If you want to go, if you're going around, if you're at Lowe's and you don't want to go in front of Mariano's because of all the stop signs and stuff, you cut around this roadway that's at your east side of your parking lot.
Right.
How do you address that with people crossing from the proposed parking lot to the store itself?
I think that's a good point and something we're going to be concerned about safety. And we can put some crosswalks out. I think it's always something that helps. We can also sign it with stop signs if we find that it's going to continue to be a thoroughfare. We're willing to do whatever traffic calming we need. I think, going as far as speed bumps would be sort of a hindrance to people that I don't think anyone wants to do. But either of the other two methods we'd be fine with. And that's something that I think we have the same interest that you do as far as ensuring that safety of the customer. If people are afraid to park there, aren't using the space, it doesn't help us any. So I think that's a situation we would monitor, and as we have to make changes, we would.
I could also see the case where somebody's, retrieving all the carts and bringing them across.
Right, yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. People, I mean, it certainly, ever since we opened and Lowe's, had that better access back, their access back to Greg's Parkway was open, that certainly is a flow that people who don't want to make that left turn. And I would think that for them it'd be just as convenient to come out to the light, but I've seen it too. So, and maybe with people crossing by, it won't appear to be as much of a, cut-through roadway, but I can't guarantee that's not going to happen, especially people who are turning left on Greg's Parkway.
Anybody else?
Do you,
Oh, go on.
do you see that, I asked this question earlier of John, but I'll ask it of you as well. You're opening a store in Lake Zurich, I believe.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to decrease your need for the extra parking?
It's interesting. I think a parallel would be we opened a store in Palatine, and it's probably, the store in Palatine is a little bit further away from the store we opened in Arlington Heights. And our customer spotting was showing that we were drawing pretty well from Palatine. They were coming across 53 and coming to our Arlington Heights store. And when we opened that store, we found that the trade area is sort of split at 53, but we must have backfilled and filled in some more customers. I think parking is keeping people away from the store. I think by having the more parking, even if we open up a new store, I think it'll bring people back in. So I think 21 is really the carrier that's bringing more people than 60. And I think, will it have an impact? It's possible, but I don't think it's going to be significant.
I have a question that may be more directed to Bradford versus Roundy's. These two lots, 11 and 12, your intention, I should ask it as a question, not as a statement, is your intention to ultimately have those lots re-subdivided and combined with the current Mariano's and Mariano's parking lot?
No, we were going to keep those separate as 11 and 12.
Okay. And in keeping it separate as 11 and 12, what Commissioner Heidner mentioned, that, for lack of a better word, access route along the east side of the current parking lot, that doesn't appear to be a platted easement through there, or am I incorrect? It is.
I don't believe it is.
So if at some point those are either returned, I assume this is going to be leased or something, if they're returned to you or you take them back or whatever it happens to be, and you seek to develop those separately, are they going to have access then?
Yeah, I believe there's a cross-access easement for all
For all the lots?
12 lots.
For all the lots?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, as this is a public hearing, we have to once again ask, as you probably are aware, whether anyone in the public has any comments. Okay, once again, seeing no rush this evening to the podium, we can close the public hearing. We also note that the notices were provided and we received no responses or comments from area owners. And also we note that you have provided the section 18.3 standards and responses that we would make part of our findings. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add? Anybody else? John?
Just a couple of comments. They're well along in the process right now, and I guess my question is, when are you guys looking to jump off and start construction? And don't say yesterday.
He did.
September 1st is
Okay.
kind of the day we're targeting.
Okay.
Right after the village board meeting would be our.
Well,
get it
if,
cranked up. Is that the
okay,
21st?
if you think you need to go sooner than that,
Okay.
let us know, and we'll ask the board to let you maybe start early.
Start grading or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Secondly, I just wanted to comment on the other issues that are in your packet. Max and I have talked over the last several months about the extra cart storage on site, and a number of you have seen or commented on that. We're working on a solution together, and we're anticipating we'll get that resolved this fall. So just so it's an issue that's hanging, but they're working on it, and we don't expect to have any problems resolving it. So I just wanted to comment on that. So other than that, we're recommending approval.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, we have a standing motion to recommend approval. Here would be to recommend approval to amend the special use permit for the planned unit development to allow placement of a parking lot and its related improvements on lots 11 and 12, along with the variations that include a reduction in the parking stall length on 11 and 12 from 20 feet to 18 feet for the entire lot, and subject to preliminary and final approval of the site and landscaping plans. There would be general compliance with the parking lot expansion plans dated 7/31/12, the landscape plans dated 7/26/12. All of this would include final approval by the village engineer and landscape architect, signage in compliance with village sign ordinances. Cart corrals are placed in the lot consistent with the design and size of the existing corrals located throughout the existing Mariano's property. For the cart corrals, the signage for the corrals will be informational and not contain store name or advertising. There's no parking spaces on the site to be converted to compact car size so as to increase the total number of spaces without review and approval by the board, and compliance with all other ordinances and standards of the village except as otherwise noted in the PUD. Okay, we need a second for that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, we need a roll, I'm sorry.
Can I just have,
Mhm.
is the parking lot that was originally for employees there, is that signed for employees only?
It's not. I mean, the idea is that if there are spaces available, customers could park there, but
Do you think it would be better from a customer relations standpoint to have your employees park in the new parking lot versus that one?
from our experience, people tend to, it's sort of a consumer behavior issue, and consumers would rather park where they can see the door to the store than around the corner. So you'll find a few people who like to park around the left-hand side because they'll buck that trend and they like to come in those spots on the left of the store on the south side are commonly, there's a few spots there, but some people will park there for convenience sake. I think more people would appreciate having spots out in front of the store than around the corner, so I think we'll probably keep it the way it is. And if someone, there's usually a space or two in that lot if someone wanted to, and we don't want to alienate the customers, so if they want to park in that employee lot, they still can.
Okay. Okay, we need a roll call vote.
Mr. Baloo, Ms. Cotton? Yes. Mr. Hesner?
Yes.
Mr. Heidner?
Yes.
Mr. Gorog? Chairman Morris?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
carries. We're going to the 21st.
All right,
so
thank you very much.
we'll be
Thank you.
talking with you, so.
Okay. Guess the only other thing we have is approval of the minutes of the July 11th, 2012 meeting with the one correction on page 1 where it reads, Mr. Hesner indicated the island will utilize, and it says under that ties, and it should be an under drain that ties into the stormwater system. So we need a second to approve those minutes with
Second.
that change. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that one? Okay. Anything else need to discuss this evening?
The next meeting will be August 29th. We'll be looking at the Bucky's mobile station up there by the mall. Possibly one or two other items, and then we'll be back in September, and we don't have a date yet, but we'll be back in September for Chick-fil-A, which is looking at the Pier 1 site. They're going to demolish the building and place a new Chick-fil-A there, and possibly the mall. And then the second thing real quick, If we still have a vacancy on the commission, if you know anybody who might be interested, please have them send a letter to Village Manager Mike Allison. Information is on our website. Or if they have, or if you want to direct them to me, if they have any questions about what the duties and responsibilities are, please have them call me or shoot me an email. So with that, we'll see you at the end of August.
What was the first item that you mentioned?
29th?
Yeah, what was?
August 20, the mobile gas station up by Dominic's.
I noticed,
Bucky's is what that's called.
I noticed that they've taken over several other in the area.
Yeah,
The ones in Libertyville do not have the lights that we like. They have the lights that stand down and glare out.
Oh, sure, right. No, we're working on them, and we've already told them they got to be flat in the ceiling on the, and they know that. So this is a reconstruct versus a retrofit, like what they've done with a number of the stores, several in Highland Park, Libertyville, Highwood, and those types of things. They really, they buffed up the signage and painted the buildings over there, and that's about it. So, okay,
Okay. Anything else?
and that'll be it for me.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn. We need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're adjourned. Good night.
Thank you.